Grizz Nation, it's time for another game day update. The last one before Christmas. The Grizzlies are taking on the Atlanta Hawks today. So joining me is Tabitha Turner-Wilkins. I am so happy you're on for the first time. Ready to break this one down?
That's right. Thanks so much for having me, Kelcey. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, you guys lost the Heat last night. So
Yeah.
you're on like a little bit of a game hangover, second half of a back-to-back. But man, did guys put up numbers. This is the first time like obviously Grizzlies fans are going to be seeing the Hawks the first time they played
Mhm.
this year. And just last night, Trey had what, 30 and 13, DeJounte had 24, Bogdanovich had 23. When it comes to like how the Hawks score, where do they get it done? Like what's their bread and butter this season?
Well, the good thing about how Trey Young plays is that he's able to find his shot whenever he wants. And I did a report on this last night in Miami because they were talking about how his streak is in danger of him going 30 and 10. That's 30 points a game, 10 assists per game. And he was like sitting at 11 points, literally going into the second half. Because he's so good at finding his teammates. And he told me in a couple post games ago that it's his job to kind of keep the hot hand fed because he can turn it on at any time. So it just reminded me to like retell that story. So I got on and I was like, you guys do not sleep on his offense. And literally halfway through the third quarter, the fourth, he just lit it up and he got literally to 30 points and 13 assists. So he tied Oscar Robertson last night for second most in the NBA of that like current streak of 30 and 10 per game and assist and points. So it's everybody plays through Trey on this team, but it's so tricky to defend this team because he can turn it on in two areas at the same time. So yes, we do play through Trey, but we do have a lot of other assets on the team, like Bogey knocked down 6 3-pointers in the first half, and then he went cold in the second half.
Mhm.
So it's kind of tricky because our lineups keep get mixing up because of all the injuries. But hey, everybody's going through injuries at this point. I thought that for DeJounte, it was one of his most complete games last night where he kind of put his foot on the pedal from beginning to end. The thing about that is I want to see that more from DJ. And I asked Quinn Snyder last night how we can see more of that, the consistency, because usually DJ will go off for a half and maybe cool off just a little bit. So I want to see more of that. And I'm hoping that this is back to that trend for them. But the good thing for the Hawks is, Trey and Bogey, that 3-point shooting, they're right behind Steph and Clay when it comes to, the highest duo shooting in the NBA. So they can get it done from the inside out. It just has to be more consistent.
I want to talk about two things. I'm going to start with the latter, which is the 3-point shooting. These teams are fifth and sixth in the league in 3-point attempts. The difference is the Grizzlies are 30th in the league in percentage from the three, and the Hawks are like 16th, middle of the league. We know Trey's a lot like Ja, right? Like he's going to score,
Yeah.
gets to the basket, whether it's a drive, a kick, whatever. But that 3-pointer. So if we're kind of like canceling out, you would say what? DeJounte, Dez, Marcus Smart is still doubtful today, so you don't have him. Maybe like a Santi cancels out Bogey. Like who else can get hot from the three? Who's like a guy that like maybe Grizzlies fans aren't like Hawks fans, and they're like, who's this guy? Who's like one of the
Yeah.
guys that can just do it?
The funny thing is, outside of Trey and Bogey, a couple of our post players like Onyeka, he's knocked down like a couple games where he's had at least 2 3-point makes. Some games he's had like one, but that's also streaky. Wes Matthews can come in and get it done for the 3-point line. But one of the shining moments, or in the past few games, one of the shining stars that we've had because of his defense come on the floor is Garrison Matthews. Now I
Oh,
know that name doesn't really get a lot of attention. But Garrison has had some big moments, especially in the last couple weeks
mhm.
on both ends of the floor. So mostly it's him taking charges. Like that's his thing. He knows how to get back and take charges. So Quinn likes to keep him in there defensively. But he's had a few games, especially the past couple weeks, where he's knocked down back-to-back 3-pointers. And I believe most of those games have been at home. Don't quote me on that, but I just remember the last couple that were at home. So now that we're back home tonight, hopefully he can get that going. But Quinn Snyder literally has focused on telling everybody on the team the entire season from camp until now, shoot the three. And I joke around with Coach Snyder and say, I wish I played on his team when I was in college because as a post player, they were like, oh, Tab, get your butt back in the post. And I'm like, I'm really a guard at heart. So let me shoot because it offers you more, more threats on the floor. So a couple of our posts can shoot, but it's streaky, but people can get hot for this Atlanta team because they're encouraged to just shoot the ball and light it up when they're open. So I know that's like a roundabout answer. It's just as
A little bit
streaky as it
everyone.
sounds.
I
It
see
is streaky.
I see a lot of similarities between the way that you talk about how your team plays versus the way that the Grizzlies play. Obviously led by Trey, obviously led by John Morant. Now that he's back, the Grizzlies have gone 2-0. Even in terms of, Trey and DeJounte, Ja and Dez, even getting up three-pointers, like they're putting up as much more three-pointers this season than they have in the last, I don't know, as long as I've been there, which is 5 years. Um, what similarities do you see between, at least the guard play, Trey and DeJounte, John does?
Attack mode, I would think so. Like I said with DJ, like, and I guess I left him out of the 3-point shooting too because we kind of already talked about him. I was filling in on the other players, but DJ, he got hot also with his shooting. It was like more mid range to three, but he can really light it up as well. And I think like though that duo is very similar to your duo where you've got two guards who can be interchangeable. Because I remember there was like a game where Trey, the birth of his daughter, he wasn't there the next game, and DJ had to step in at point, and he's really a point guard also. So the positions can be interchangeable where he can fill in on that front. We've also got DeAndre Hunter, but I believe he's out for tonight. The status update was just updated, so I can say that. But he's been dealing with some lingering injuries as well. So I think that duo or trio, should I say, DeAndre, Trey, and DeJounte, they can really light it up like your trio. We just got to be healthy. And that's the problem is, last night DeAndre was supposed to play. He was questionable. And then he, couldn't go because of that right knee soreness. So it had to be like a last minute pull. So I want to see when all of us are healthy and at full strength, both teams. That's when I really want to see this competition go down, because I think that those three players and your three players really have a lot of similarities.
All right, so it won't happen tonight, but we do play again later in the season, and that one will be in Memphis. So this one is in Atlanta today, 6:30 p.m. Central Time. You can watch it tip off. Tabitha, thank you so very much, and I hope you have a really great game today.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Kelcey. Hopefully we get a dub. I don't know. One of us ain't going to get a dub, so.
Just hope it's us.